I'm fixing my eyes on heaven's prize. My heart is set, my hands are lifted high. For your kingdom, Lord, I'll testify. I've got no time for doubt, no room for delay. Every day I live, I'm walking in your way. The mission is clear, the call is strong.
Hi there. I'm just
Hi,
having. Oh, I can hear you now. I wasn't able to
you
hear
can hear
you.
me. Okay,
Yes,
so I must have been talking and nobody could hear me.
I think so. I
Well,
checked on
welcome.
it.
Yeah, so welcome
So,
everyone. For those of you who did not hear the intro, welcome. This is not one of our regular scheduled show. We are officially back next month for the Push Talk Show, but we are pushing a part of the Push Talk Show every year since June last year. We have been doing the 30-day push challenge. And so for those of you who saw me showing up every day for 30 days with my videos, encouraging you guys with a scripture or just with that extra push to make it be, when you get to the middle of the year, Ashley, we're going to talk about that. There's that
yeah,
little push, right? Everybody has their New Year's resolution. I stopped making those because I'm like, you need to just do what you need to do. But I know
absolutely.
last year I realized that there was something that I needed to do to push. And so it was me showing up for 30 days, doing it. I felt led to do it and I did it. And I wasn't exhausted. I wasn't tired. I think I was looking better and better each time I was on. But it
Yes,
was just the inspiration from those around you who kind of, let's go. And so this year, I always say everything bigger and better, right? The more God gives you the grace, you just keep going. And I was so happy to have you for the Women's History Month in March. It was an amazing time. And I also got some much needed rest, rest as well after that. And so, but here we are again, June, completing another 30-day push challenge, but in a different way. For you may not know this, Ashley, but for when I first started the Push Talk show, I was doing underground radio. And I would show up, I think it was a Tuesday, or I would be underground radio, and I was pushing people, push to forgive, the push
mm,
to better health. So I've been talking about the better health. And I don't hear it back then. But I was on underground radio talking to whoever was out there in the airwaves listening. And so I think that was my practice time. So when people see you show up, you've been in the trenches, right? Practicing and getting ready to go. So So thanks for those who are joining. For those of you who are about to get in on this conversation with me and Ashley, we are pushing to better health. And I'm so honored to have Ashley with me. So welcome, Ashley. Share again for those who maybe their first time seeing you or hearing you. Just share a little bit about who you are and why you're on here today.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Patrice. My name is Ashley Pearson. I am a Christian functional nutritionist, and I help women, mamas specifically, restore their gut, renew their energy, and live revived in Jesus. I have a beautiful family, 2 young girls, and another one on the way. You can't tell here, but and my husband as well has been such a huge support, and the call that God has in my life, and just everything. So I am so excited to be here to talk with you guys about healthy living, the things that we can do on a day-to-day basis to thrive, to feel renewed and revived in our what can seem like mundane things that we do every single day, but ways that we can really steward the temple of the Holy Spirit. So I'm excited. I'm so happy you're doing this push challenge. It's so needed. So thank you for having me, Patrice, again.
All right, wonderful. Thank you for saying yes. All right, so
Absolutely.
we're gonna get in the convo. So one of the amazing things that I did on the 30-day challenge, right? So last year, as I said, I was just showing up on camera. Nobody
Yes.
was hearing about anything else happening. And so this year, I I kept wanting to go back to the roots, right? Where I started doing the push to better health, the push to forgive, and all that. So I said, why not do the push to better health? Not only
Yeah.
that, now in the 40s, right? 40 something for those of you who want to be nosy. But I realized that hormonals, everything have kind of shifted a bit, and we're going to get more into that next week. So
Mhm.
we're just going to be on just a little bit of a surface kind of topics today, and then we go deeper next week. And so I realized some of the things that was happening, even in your mode as you're aging, getting closer to menopausal type states, and different things are happening, right? And so the push to better health was something that was kind of resting on me. And I said, I wonder who else would join me on this journey, this
Yeah.
30-day challenge, right? Showing
Right.
up wherever you are in the world, just being intentional and deciding that I am going to push to better health, not just in the physical, but also in my spiritual, because that also is something that we need to be consistent in, that spiritual aspect, right? And then I didn't want it to be super overly spiritual, even though we're spiritual beings, being children of God, but also the mental and the physical aspect, because a lot of times we're called to do great things for the Lord and we want to, but the physical is we're just tired,
Right.
exhausted,
Yeah.
and then also our mind. We even though we know we can renew our mind through the Word, but also just having those moments where we're resting. And so
Right.
let's get in. I know I said a whole bunch just now, but let's just kind of talk now some of the things that you've been seeing, because you, in your functional nutrition journey, Revive, shout out to all the other Revive clients of yours. Um, what are some of the things that you're noticing now more than ever, especially with us women?
Yeah. I think one thing that I notice with my clients is this all or none mindset that can be challenging to break. Where if I don't get in the full 30, full hour, 45 minutes, whatever it is, workout, if I'm not
Mhm,
lifting those heavy weights, if I'm not, doing that super high intensity interval training workout, whatever it is, then I'm like, nope, I don't have time, then I'm not going to do it. Or if I indulge in something sweet or something that may not be something that I want to regularly consume, but I eat it anyway, then the whole rest of the day is derailed. So it's
mhm,
this all or none mindset that I notice, where even though the intention and desire is to, oh, I want to keep this consistency, that
mhm,
sometimes if it can't be perfect, then the thought is, well, maybe I just won't do it. And
mhm,
so I think that has been something that I've noticed in the people that I work with. But what's cool is that through small changes,
mhm,
often those are the things that make the biggest impact. So it's this training, that almost like this rewiring where it's like, us women, we want to be, we're go-getters, we want to work hard, we want to see the results, and we know we have to put intention and work to do it. And so I think that heart behind, like, oh, I want to be perfect, I want to do this well, it comes from, like, a place of, I want to be ambitious and successful. And so I think rewiring that to say, I can be ambitious and successful even in the 10-minute workout, even if
Yeah.
I don't get, the full 30-minute in. That way I don't go weeks on end without working out, or months, or whatever it is. Or if my sleep pattern has been off because I've been in such a busy season, I don't let it go that way for too long because I know my body needs rest. So it's
Yeah.
this retraining that we need to begin to step into, with being okay with just those small wins, even if it's not the big wins. And when we can make the big wins, then hey, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel you on that. One of the things I didn't mention earlier is that up within the 30-day challenge, I started doing the 10K steps per day, like 10,000
Wow.
steps per day. Yeah. So I'm telling you, it's working out. The clothes are a bit looser. And so what I even I for some reason there was a little bit of anxiety, like you kind of feel anxious because like 10,000 now, it's an intentional number, right? And so
Right.
I started like 2-3 days before June 1st, because I'm like, let me see if I can do this, right? And so as you mentioned earlier, like we want to do the big wins and stuff, but and so what I do like 5,000 in the morning, and then in the afternoon I did the next
I
five,
love
and then
that.
so I started out that way, but I think it was just a hesitation, like, I don't know, it's gonna go. Can I do this, right? Because I think there are times we do 10Ks and we don't realize it, but now the fact that I have to like focus on this number, and
Mhm.
so that's how I started. And then it's been good. There were days and then I had to intentionally like rest on one Saturday. I realized I was a little bit busy. I wouldn't be able to walk as much, and I had
Right.
to be okay with that.
Yeah.
I had to be okay with that. And then the Sundays are kind of like that day, I have to prepare sermons and do things. I'm like,
Right.
and I had to be okay with that. So I realized even within this, the Lord's really been giving me the grace to be okay with not accomplishing everything that you set out to do, as long as you did your best. And so
Exactly.
I've been learning a lot on this 30-day push challenge. It's really different from last year. It's really different because now the physical is being taken care of, the spiritual and the mental. Mental saying like, you just rest,
Right.
just
Yeah.
rest. hmm So
And I
I
think
could really just hmm go ahead.
No, yeah, I just wanted to jump on that. I think that idea of rest is just so important. And I've been hearing, I just feel like the Lord is really highlighting that a lot recently.
hmm
And even in my church, we this last Sunday there was my pastor preached about the Sabbath, about the commandment of the third and fourth commandment, to honor the Sabbath,
hmm
and talking about how God gives us this blessing, of rest, and we're wanting peace. We're praying, God, give me rest, Lord, give me peace, and yet we don't take time to rest. We don't take time to really enjoy the blessing of Sabbath, or just
Yeah.
enjoying Him. And so I love how you've been kind of in that same, where I feel like we're all in that same trend of understanding, like, wow, like we can't just
hmm
keep running and doing the same things and burning out. Like, our body
Yeah.
needs to
hmm
pause.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think during these times you kind of learn a little bit more about yourself,
Yeah.
especially when you're focusing on like spirit, soul, body, right? You're
Yeah.
focusing on all three at the same time, and you're saying, okay. And so I realize we have been, as you say, keep going. We want to get everything done. We want to, some people are high achievers. Some people are, I didn't know how competitive I was until I'm trying to get those 10Ks in. I'm like, whoa. But then it also, I was like, so where else in my life is this behavior flowing
Mm,
over? You know what I mean? So
that's
it
good.
has me like thinking, right? I grew up very athletic, so I did like the long jump, the high jump, and I used to do like the 200 meter. But I
Wow,
didn't
yeah.
think of myself as being really competitive. I was just like, they just knew I could run and could I had long legs. But
Isn't that
now, look, so I was always in that, I could always move and do that. But over the years, you distracted. And as I said earlier, with the hormonal changes, things are just changing with your
cool?
metabolism and stuff. And so, but I didn't realize how competitive I was when it comes to setting like a goal. If there's a goal, I had to get it done.
Right.
But one of the things I believe this experience is teaching me, like you can rest. It's okay if you don't hit the 10K. It's
Yeah,
okay if there's someone else ahead.
right.
Because we're all in the little apps. I see people going and I'm like, okay. And the days when it's just 1,000 that's recorded,
Mhm.
the days when it's just 5,000, and the
Right.
days. And so it's just one of those things. So I wanted to just get back to you now. Like, what are some of the ways that you are helping your clients to, like, let's say they had a 10K steps per day. Like, how
Yeah.
are you helping them to just wherever, okay, maybe take a little bit more steps the next day? Like, how are you helping them transition into that? You don't have to just overwhelm yourself trying to get it done.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it depends on where we all begin, because if we are an avid walker, workout, gym goer, then going into something like a 10K, then that's going to be looking a little bit different in training compared to someone who maybe hasn't had a lot of time to work out. So I think really understanding where your starting point is, and realizing that, hey, this, you're going to make it. Everyone, there's an end goal here, and we all may have just a different process to get there. But even if it's just training at a certain level where, okay, I'm going to start walking. I'm going to start walking if I haven't already been running or been moving my body in a certain way. Then I'm going to warm up my body. I'm going to walk for a half hour a day or whatever it is, and really noticing how your body's responding to the new exercise routine that you have, and even incorporating stretches. I think it's very important to warm up your body beforehand, as well as cool it down after something like a like walking or running, because then your muscles will begin to it could begin to contract in such a way where you can lead to excess soreness, or you can eventually pull a muscle if you're not fully cooling down or warming up properly. So I think understanding where your starting point is, and just going from there, whether it's just adding more minutes, adding more time, or it's adding different strength exercises alongside, so that you can build strength as well as endurance for whatever marathon or goal that you have. So I think some things that I encourage my clients to do as they are exercising is to really just assess like where they're at, and how they can just increase that incrementally, because our body responds best to change when it's not so abrupt. That way we can kind of move into it, versus just kind of shock our body and saying, "Hey, we're about to do this big thing." Yeah. So
Yeah, I think that's what I did. I think it was probably unconsciously done, but I did it. Like I knew it was coming, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if I can do this, right? I think it's the way how, just as when God gives us stuff to do, we're like, I wonder if I
yeah.
can do this, right? So you go try to do a test run. So I believe that's what I was doing a test run to see. And the
Yeah.
minute I realized I could, I went ahead. So okay, so that's good. So I wanted to talk. So when you were talking earlier, I kind of thought of like the mental aspect, because I think that's where mostly things start to happen up here, right? First, before we even try to do anything, right? And so thinking that we can't do something is
Yeah.
one of the big things that happen. And so we try to go and find all these other what would you call that? Uh, Lost for words. But it's almost like you find these other kind of coping mechanisms, things to kind of balance it. Oh, like there's this fight happening in your mind. Like, can I
Yeah.
do this? Can I do this? Maybe if I do this, maybe if I. So it's like you're always having this war in your head first before you even try to do anything. And so by the time you try and maybe you did not get to where you wanted to be, and you're like, oh, see, I told you. So it's having those moments. And that's why I believe even within the psalm, like, it was a psalm a day. So every day there's a psalm, and reading through that and kind of seeing how that is helping. And realize I'm like, I don't know what was happening with David, but man, he was just like always crying out to the Lord for vindication, just for help. And I
Yeah.
think too, as we are the physical man with the exercise, because I'm telling you, walking upstairs, you feel it. So you know how that pressure is on you, right? And so I feel like also combating the physical with the spiritual, and we already know there's a war happening in the spirit, right? Tug of
Yeah.
war always for the soul. And then here's now the mental, right?
Mhm.
So there's
Mhm.
things happening. So you need the word to really help you. So Lord, I'm doing this physically and I'm hurting, but I also know that there's this thing like, don't do it today. You don't have to do it today. Like you have to push against those things that's telling you to stay lazy. Um, oh, you don't need to work out today. It's okay. So what is the difference between where you're hearing like, don't work out, it's okay, but you need to, because it can be the spirit of lazy can come up on you,
Right.
and then you find out feeling bad when you eating that extra cookie or eating the things that, because one of the things I was sharing with someone is that when I'm
Mhm.
stressed, I did not even realize it. When I was eating like
Right.
I was really eating, and I did not realize it. So even if there's something I didn't even want to eat at the time, because I'm going through the stress, things are happening in my mind, I'm not focused, or I'm
Yeah.
worried about something, then I pull and I start eating. So
Right.
how do you address that?
Yeah. And I think you're talking about so many really important factors. And one thing I wanted to point out before I answer that other question is how sometimes that war that we have in our minds, sometimes it's almost like habitual, just the things that we realize and kind of have noticed that we do on in response to certain triggers, whether it's stress or whatever it is. But one thing I see in my clients often is this thought that if I'm tired, then I need to sit on the couch. I need to rest. I need to just relax because I've been doing so much. I need a rest. But often, and we have to kind of make that self assessment and make good judgment. But often we need to move. We need to work out. We need to be able to have a healthy, consistent workout routine where actually exercise will produce more energy. It's like that concept that maybe we all learned in high school. I think it was like Newton's law or something, where an object that in motion stays in motion, an object at rest stays at rest. It's kind of like that same concept where if we are constantly moving, having this consistent routine of exercising and stewarding our body in that way, then there's this energy. The endorphins come, this agility comes, this motivation comes, and it's almost like when we get in these seasons of just so much busyness, where maybe the exercise is the first thing to go because hey, that's like maybe feeling like something that's not as priority or as necessary than all these other high demanding tasks. Well, if we start feeling tired, then we often want to just rest more because well, we're tired. But then if we choose to work out, many of my clients have been noticing like, wow, I actually feel better when I decide like actually no, I don't need to rest. I actually need to move my body because I haven't been. And so I think understanding it's two parts. It's kind of like our habits and what we're used to be doing, and especially if we're used to putting exercise on the side. But it's also, I think, also like you were saying, this like spiritual battle that we can feel where it's like, wow, I am at my best physically, spiritually. I want to wake up and connect with the Lord. I want to pray. I have enough capacity to go, you know, go witness and go evangelize or go do ministry things or whatever it is, when my body has energy. And so I think there's also this, like, this element of a spiritual warfare, where if the enemy can keep us feeling tired, can keep us feeling unmotivated, can keep us feeling this, just this tension with, I want to do all these things, but my body is just shutting down. If the enemy can keep us that way, then he can keep us inefficient as Christians, as ambassadors for Christ. So I think it's both. I think it's this spiritual warfare element, to keep us not being able to do the things that God has called us to do, but also I think it's also part of our habits, that we have thought that maybe exercise could be something that to be pushed aside, even though it's something of vital importance and will help us increase productivity, increase energy, increase our or decrease our stress levels, so that we can be more attentive, or regulated moms, or regulated wives, or coworkers. We show up better when we have our stress managed, and that's often when we are exercising in a routine. So
Yeah, that's amazing because when I did the first live, the first week I did a live and I was telling everyone like how much energy I had just
ah,
walking,
right,
right?
just walk
Yeah, just walking. And, you know, it I was like, wow, you hear people talk about walking. I'm like, how can walking really do anything, right? But I realized, apart from those who want to do the strength training and all that, that's good and all. But I think for me, I was able to think clearer when I was walking. I was just more attentive to nature. I realized I liked walking outside around when it rained because here in Florida. So when it rains, like I have to maybe go up like the stairs or something, a few times.
good.
But
That's
being
good.
outside, being a part of the nature, like this morning, I
Yeah.
took a video of iguana, like this oversized one just crossed my path. And I was like, okay, go away, just don't come near me. But it was just so good to be outside. And I think
Yeah.
even just getting that extra vitamin D in, my mode was so different. And so I realized on the days, because when I started walking, even this morning, I kind of felt like a little woozy. And then I'm like, no, I got to keep going. And then
Yeah. Yeah.
all of a sudden, all this energy, and I felt just so much better. My chest is much
Mhm.
clearer. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you know what? God wants us to really be intentional about our health, because
Yeah.
no longer can we want to pray for healing. We know healing is there, but
Right.
what are we doing to push to better health?
Exactly.
Spiritually, are we praying? Are we reading the word? Now we
Right.
have no excuse. We could listen,
Right.
listen to. So we have so many more options now to, until all here, right? Um,
Mhm.
and so I realized that's something we have to really be intentional, and not even on the days when you don't feel like it, that is the day
Right.
you
Right.
really need to push in. And so, yeah, so that was amazing. I'm happy that your clients are really getting some really good germs from you, and I'm sure you're seeing amazing results. And so, for those of you who are just joining, this is Ashley. She is a Christian functional nutritionist, especially for moms, but when it comes to ladies, she is
Mhm.
the one to go to, right? And next week, we're going to have a special segment around the same time, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 3 p.m. Pacific. Oh, what am I saying? PST,
Mhm.
Pacific. I was like Pacific Standard Time. I should know this. I used to be in California for a minute. So, but anyway, and so remember, if you know anyone who has hormonal type issues, next week we're doing a very special segment on that. So please go ahead, and we're gonna have the flyer going throughout the week, so you are here because we're winding down in our 30-day challenge. I don't know who is on it, but I hope you are. And those of you who are in the 10K step group, I see you. I see you taking your little steps. And I'm so excited. So, Ashley, I know we didn't have like a long time on here, but I wanted, for you to kind of walk us through a day. What are some of the things
Mhm.
that we should be, as a woman, especially? What are some of the things that we need to make sure we're incorporating in our diet?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's important for us to, as women especially, to make sure that we are eating sufficient calories. There's a lot of women that tend to restrict or just eat less because maybe they don't feel hunger, but it's actually more of a restrictive eating um, that prevents the body to have and consume the nutrients it needs. So, making sure that you're having 3 meals a day, or at least enough calories. I know you're doing an intermittent fast, so just enough nutrients within the window that you are eating, whatever that looks like in this season, where you are having enough protein, eating enough healthy fats like avocados, olive oil. Even eating when you're eating butter, making sure it's grass-fed butter, as much as possible, choosing organic meats and veggies over conventionally grown produce or conventionally raised animals like cows or beef or whatever or chicken, whatever you regularly consume. And then also choosing more whole grains than the refined carbohydrates like the white breads, white pastas. So those we all love the taste of the breads, of the pastas, but as much as possible to be intentional about choosing grains like quinoa or whole grain pasta if you eat it. And then apart from just getting enough nutrients in your plate, when you look at your plate, try to incorporate what's called a four color plate where you have a variety of colors on your plate. For example, you can have avocado, you can have red bell pepper, you can have some fruit, whether it's like a berry or something, or a tomato or whatever it is. And as long as it's one type of plant food, it's considered it's considered a color, it's considered there, present, and it counts. And so having a variety of colors will allow your body to have the nutrients that it needs. Specifically in our gut, it fuels the microbiome. There's something called a 30-point plant tracker or plant-based foods where you can eat 30 different types of plants in 1 week. Research is showing that you have a more diverse microbiome that's healthy and thriving, and that's what we are all pursuing, is to have healthy guts. And so one way you can do that is making sure you have at least 30 different plant foods in a week. And so looking at your plate and saying, hey, do I have 4 different colors of plant foods, whether that's a vegetable, a fruit, a grain, a seed, a nut, a bean, that all counts. And of course, as we're talking about exercise a lot today, that's so important to ensure that we're moving our body in a regular day, even if it's just walking, because just as Patrice was saying, walking, you can see the benefit. You can see the difference. Even if you're not doing the heavy lifting, at least walking every single day, whether it's saying, hey, I only have 10 minutes to do this, or going the stretch of 30 minutes a day and making that very consistent in your day to day. And another thing that's very important for our hormones and our immune system and even our gut health is sleep. Having consistent sleep where we're getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep every single day, going to bed at a consistent time, and having a good like 2 to 3 hour window before we go to bed after we eat. So kind of separating the last bite that we have and when we go to sleep by 2 to 3 hours, that will allow our sleep to be even more efficient and restful, and allow our gut to really recover in the nighttime as well. And so I think those, I said a lot, but I think those main things of making sure you have enough protein and getting 4 colors in your plate, exercising and optimizing your sleep are so important. I I really am so avid about and encourage the variety of colors on your plate so much. I actually created a freebie, ebook for you guys who are watching, whether it's now or on the replay. I'd love to share that with you, so that you can begin to build your plate and just track to see, hey, how many colors of foods that I'm eating, whether it's a fresh fruit or a vegetable, or whether it's a fresh herb, or whether it's a herb seasoning that you use. All of those different kinds of plants, they count. So however, wherever you are, or however you are starting, of course, keep it simple, and that way that you can build from wherever you're starting, because you starting or you continuing is the thing that matters most, because small wins make huge impact in our health.
Amazing, amazing. Oh my God. Thank you so much, Ashley.
Yes.
I
How can I
see how
share
you,
the Oh, sorry.
no, no, I see how Revive is going to just explode. Like, oh, God's gonna like expand Revive,
Thank you.
your brand, your ministry, and how you're helping us women just show up better, eat better, think outside the box. Because I was thinking about 30 different, like, what? That's a lot. Like, how do you take the, it's like if I have to count calories, like now I watch the calories when I'm doing the 10K. It shows you like how much even when I'm sleeping, I'm like, my phone's not that near me. And
Mhm.
it's telling me I'm burning all these calories, right? Which we know we burn when we sleep. So I think something I've learned today, because I'm losing so much, I have to also eat to make sure I'm being balanced, right? All right.
Mhm.
Well, I am super, super excited. Next week, I think I want to touch on iron as well. I know we're going to dive
Yeah.
into
Oh,
hormones,
let's
but
do
I'll
it.
touch on iron because that's one of the things that, the blood work come back and you're like,
Mhm.
right?
That's
So,
huge.
yeah, so the iron aspect. Okay. Well, I'm so honored to have you on here, Ashley, and thank you for being here on the Push Talk Show,
Yeah.
the 30-day push challenge. We are on day 19. And so we have a few more, another week or and so to go, and I'm super excited for all those who are on the challenge with me. Oh, I'm sharing, I'm posting, I'm getting you all motivated to push to better health, right? So we're gonna do it together in the Word, right?
And
Through the time of fasting. So between when you wake up and 12 o'clock, you're just drinking your water, your coconut water, whatever you're doing to hydrate and make
mhm.
sure you're getting your steps in, whether you choose to be one in the gym, pumping the iron, or you just want to walk and join me on the 10K steps
Amen.
per day. All right. So thank you so much, Ashley. So if they want to, how are they going to connect with you to get the ebook?
Yeah, so you can follow me on my Instagram, and then actually maybe I can also post it as a
Yeah.
story, and then that way you can share it as well, so everyone
Yeah.
can tune
Okay.
in. Yeah, I'll do that too.
Yeah. Yeah. But next week, I want you guys to join us. I know for some of you, you're probably on the Push Talk Show on Instagram. It's on my page, on my personal page. So I have to be more clear next time. So, but for those of you watching on YouTube and on Facebook, thank you all for joining. And I can't wait for you guys to hear what we're going to talk about next week when it comes to hormones. I just added iron to
Yes.
that. And so we're going to go really deep. Women, there's a reason why we are not losing the weight. There's a reason why you're thinking, or like, I'm not pregnant. Why am I thinking I have pregnant brain? It's just a lot of different things, right? The bloating, all the different things that are happening. And so we're going to go deep into that with Coach Ashley next week. So until next time. All right. So go and follow Ashley as well. Let them know your angle over there on Instagram to follow you, because she posts a lot of interesting recipes and things that she's adding in her smoothie, or some cute little things that does with the food.
Yes,
So go ahead and tell them how to follow you, and then I'll go ahead and close out for the
awesome.
day.
Yes, please follow me. My handle is ashleypearson.fn. So my full name, ashleypearson.fn. And I'll have the freebie for the plant point tracker. And honestly, that's literally everyone's response. 30 plant points, 30 different plants. How could I do that? that's how I thought when I first found out about this too. But honestly, it's so doable. You can even do it in one meal
Mhm.
sometimes. So I'm encouraged to see what you guys think. I'll put it in my link tree, and then also I'll put it in my story so you can share that, and I'll tag you with it, Patrice.
Okay. All right. All right, Ashley. Well, thank you so much. And I know you're almost to the end. You're going to be delivering soon. So thank you for the time, taking the time and being that busy mom,
Absolutely.
but also wanting to give back to women and help us with our health, right? And so the
Yes.
push to better health, for those of you who do not have a nutritionist, you need to get a nutritionist, get someone who's going to help you be better. Like, we could pray all day long, and I know the Holy Spirit could give us, but he also has empowered others who just love that type of stuff, right? And so I believe Ashley is one that the Lord has given that grace. And so she's here to just help us, all of you who are lovers, supporters, followers of the Push Talk Show. You get an opportunity to get some freebies. So go on ahead and follow Ashley. All right, Ashley. So thank you. So next week, remember, we're all talking about everything hormonal, okay? That weight's not leaving because of the hormones that are imbalanced. And then we're going to talk about iron, okay? So until next time, thank you, Ashley. I'm going to go just do a little bit of a closeout. So thank you so much for being
Thank
on
you for
here with us.
having me. Thank you so
All right.
much.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, my goodness. So, yes, we just had that conversation, real conversation about our health. Pushing to better health, it's going to require, yes, the physical, but we know the spirit man needs to be fed. We know the spirit man needs to also be healthy, right? We need to get in alignment with what God wants for us and have for us, in His Word, and how He wants us to show up. He wants us to show up not tired, not exhausted, not acting like we don't know where we belong. But could it be that your body's out of alignment? And so this 30-day push challenge is helping to get you back in alignment. For those of you who want to join my 10K steps per day, you can go on ahead in the stories. I'll have it there for you to join us as the challenge is to walk 10K steps. Take 10K steps every day. All right. On the days when you're tired and you want to rest, or if you are like me on Sundays, you got to prepare and get ready for church, then it's okay. You could do it before or after. But make up in your mind to do something. Be active outside. I know what it is to be inside at a desk for hours and hours, and then you start to see the weight packing on, and you're like, oh, what's happening? Because while I was sitting at the desk, I was also stressing about what I'm doing, and I was eating. And so now it's the time to get better about your health. So we're pushing to better health when it comes to our spiritual, our physical, and our mental. Okay, because the mental is what really causes us to act outside of who God said we are. So if we get it all together and everything is in alignment and balanced, right, we will show up as how we are truly supposed to show up, our best, right? So God bless you all. And I will be back here again, as I said, next week at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Ashley. And we're going to talk about all things hormonal, those extra hair that's popping out. I also, on the last Sunday of this month, I have one who I call the secret weapon in the skincare industry. She's going to be on here, and we're going to also talk about hormonal acne. We're going to talk about all things skincare. So, as we're pushing to better health, whatever we're putting in our bodies, it's also showing up on the skin. So, I'm super excited for what's about to happen. And I hope for those of you who will watch the replay, you know, you're about to be enlightened. And I'm super excited. So, until next time, out to everyone on Instagram. Hi, Coach. Hi. Thank you for joining. To everyone who's joining us, whether you're on Instagram, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, thank you. And remember, let's push to better health, right? God has given us this amazing assignments to do. But if we're tired and always running to the ER because we're sick, if we're not taking care of ourselves, right? Then we can't be effective. And I want to be doing the work of the Lord for a long time, but I want to do it with wisdom, with understanding, and also doing my part. All right. All right. So until next time, see you all and God bless.